No, don't sing the song.
I'm not.
We'll get copyright strikes. And we're no longer doing a reaction video, so Fine Brothers, get out of our inbox. With that said, welcome to Patron Hangout number 6. I want to welcome our most regular members of the Patron Hangout, Matt and Mike aboard. Thank you guys very much, as always, for joining us. If you're interested in becoming a patron, check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclicks. And any valuation that you do decide to become a patron at does get you entrance into this show, and the link is on the Patreon wall and your Patreon message box if you are a patron and haven't quite got a chance to get in on this. But we go into this in a better mood than we were last night, that's for sure.
So many live shows this week.
Yeah, this week we've been so short on content that we just kind of had to make it up as we go, and none of it is a normal content. So, but I'm going to stop taking up everybody's time, and Mike has passed on first question to Matt. Matt, you get to lead the Patron Hangout this week.
So it was a slow news week, as you mentioned.
I don't think anything happened. Anything happened, Amber? I don't know.
Major.
No.
No, I just, my first question is, how are you guys? Are you all right? It's been a wild 24, 36 hours.
Yeah, it's been about 20. It's actually been 5 minutes after 24 hours since that live show started, and we're still in the part of that live show where we were happy.
Yeah.
It has been a roller coaster of emotions, and I want to thank all of our fans and all of my fellow HeroClix community for absolutely demolishing my data plan, because I do everything through my phone these days. As my inbox exploded, my messages were going nuts. A lot of support, a few people who disagreed with me, and I would politely discuss with them my thoughts on the matter, etc. But so for those of you who aren't aware, WizKids announced some major things on the horizon, and one of those things that was a hot topic for the past past 24 hours was the fact that they wanted to put the dial on the front of the card as part of some of the information that was there. Now, me and Amber did this video yesterday. We made our points in regards to everything that they discussed in the article. We went point by point, and there was about 5 points, one of which was reiterated at the end again. And 4 out of those 5 points we thought were really good news. We were talking about vinyl maps on the way. They're kind of changing some design of the characters or refocusing the design, though not so much news to us. They're just kind of reimagining the idea that they're coming through with, and part of that is the Batman and Superman that we saw. It coming up in the 4 Batman and the 4 Superman that are going to be in World's Finest. It's kind of part of a distant design. But one of the issues, of course, that we had was the new card, and specifically the dial on the front. Now, in the 24 hours, there was a petition. There's a lot of people who were against it. There was a few people who were in favor of it, and though I personally didn't quite see the reasoning myself, I tried to pull what I could, and I, to a certain degree, kind of understood their thought process on it, and still to a major degree, disagreed with it. But by the end of it, around 4 or 5 o'clock today, the news came out that WizKids met us in the middle. So on the card design, the idea was they wanted to put the character's dial on the front of the card, along with a bunch of the powers, or at least the special powers all on the front there, and kind of use the back for leave out. So what they've decided to do in this new announcement is they've redesigned that now. They're taking that dial, they're putting it on the back of the card, and they're actually implementing a tournament rule where the back of the card is off-limits information. Now, the reason I say I'm okay with this compromise, I still like the design of the card myself, because there's a lot of information kind of getting thrown in there. It's going to throw into a lot of small print on that. But in the end, the dial portion of it is no longer a major factor, because you're not allowed to look at it, your opponent's not allowed to look at it during the game, but you're still allowed to look at it. So these people who were I don't know who these people are, but there are apparently a subset of people who are looking to get the dial information in front of them. They now have it available to them on the back of the card. Now, a lot of people go, well, what's stopping my opponent from quickly glancing at the back of the card? Well, basically nothing. But there are steps that you can take to prevent that, and I'm sure WizKids is even going to jump on the bandwagon of this too. There are tons of card sleeves that exist as a solution to this. Now, ideally, you don't want to have the purchasable solution, but the purchasable solution is universal and already exists, and it fits in Magic cards, it fits on Pokemon cards, it fits on Dice Masters cards. It is just a simple card sleeve, but a lot of card sleeves now have a colored back. Now, the reason I say this is a good idea is I take my card of Malekith, we can see the front, and that's what the back looks like, all right? And then I put this in the sleeve. Now, still see the front, but now the back is covered by the color. I think, and I think for $4 you can get 50 of these. At least locally, that's where we buy them at. Ultra Pro makes these. You've already got everything covered. And you can get cool designed ones because unlike Magic the Gathering or other games, you don't have to worry about the art possibly being off-center and somebody calling it a marked card because technically it is to a certain minuscule degree it could be. If you get just to get you can use those fancy ones pretty freely.
They have really cool Super Mario ones that I want now.
There's also those Justice League ones we've seen. You can get them custom done in some cases. So ultimately, by meeting us in the middle and putting this rule where you can't look at the back of the card, giving us the ability to very simply cover it with one of these card sleeves that exists, I personally don't see it as any kind of an issue anymore, and I kind of accept, this compromise meeting in the middle. Basically, WizKids has said, we're not changing the idea of putting the dial on the card, but we do understand that there's an issue because this dial thing that we've been doing for years works. The idea of it, like having the dial on the figure to a certain degree, is like having your deck face down. Your opponent doesn't have all the information to a certain degree unless your opponent plays an awful lot, etc. So as a compromise, I kind of see it as very acceptable myself, and I don't mind the small investment in some card sleeves because really, you only have to bring the card sleeves to the tournament. You don't have to shove all of your cards in there.
No, it's just 3 to 6, depending on how many players you have. Even if you go into a sealed or a draft, have we've talked hours on end about a play kit and what to bring to a tournament and what to have with you, what everybody kind of brings with them to each tournament. Having a couple of sleeves in there is really not much of a nuisance. Most tackle boxes, you could just put it in there. So going into a sealed, a draft, somewhere where you're picking up brand new figures, have a couple of sleeves with you, boom, you're ready to go.
As well, for the purposes of sealed and draft, that speeds up the process. Because, okay, the dial on the card has advantages in the non-constructed formats. Because I don't have to twist through the dial and waste time doing that. I can just look at it on the card. And because it's on the back of the card, and that's not information my opponent's supposed to have, I still, if it's brand new set, opponent hasn't seen it, I haven't seen it, I have the advantage of being able to see the dial right there, and then my opponent still won't be able to see it, right? There's a certain degree of advantage in sealed by that. But that advantage gets lost with more experienced players. In any game and in any case, because there's research to be done, there's leaks to be had, information is out there enough. So overall, I'm okay with meeting WizKids in the middle. I hope they can make sure that the formatting on the cards is still completely legible. Is really the big concern. But as long as it still fits in these card sleeves and we follow enough of a format and they make it clear that this you can't look at the back of the card is a definite tournament rule, I'm willing to compromise.
Yeah. And it's like we've said, where it's a perfect in the middle. They're not budging on this whole putting the dial on the card thing. This allows them to do what they want to do while also directly addressing the very main concern that I've seen repeated 1,000 times with players, and that's only a little bit of an exaggeration between the petition, Facebook comments, HC Realm comments, and that is that the whole mystique of this game is not knowing this information. So that addresses our concerns perfectly, at least that main concern, and it still allows them to do what they want to do, because even if you read the Design Insight articles that they put out today saying that they're changing this design, you can, without them coming right out and saying it, you can feel it in the subtext of they're disappointed that this great big idea that they've been working on for 6 years wasn't received well. But they're willing to make a compromise in our favor. which kudos to them. I mean, it took them less than 24 hours to turn around on this. Not only to turn around on this, to get it out to us, and to actually redesign the card. And it's not a full redesign. It's as much as going into a PDF Illustrator, moving around a couple of boxes and realigning them. But I mean, I've done that work myself, and that's still, even the small amount that they did, that's still at least a half an hour's work. Time worked on just moving that information around to make it into the back. So I mean, work has been done on this. This isn't just something that they're just like, okay, here, fine, have that. So.
But it took at least 8 different meetings in order for that change to occur.
Yeah.
So with that said, my opinion is improved on their idea for the change, in the fact that they are, to a certain degree, protecting a certain element of knowledge that, you know, is worth gaining and is worth having if you really want to get into the competitive scene. And to end it all off, my opinion of Halo Action Clix hasn't changed.
But bring back Horror Clix if you want, because I'm
sure
all for that.
Bring back Horror Clix. Just keep Halo Action Clix where it belongs.
In the garbage.
All right, Mike.
Alrighty, so as you guys are on there talking about stuff like that, I've worked for my notes here, and of course it is February, and it's the month of February. A lot of love in the air and everything like that. So my first, my first question, I guess, would have to say though, that most of them are all gonna be around love, but. I want to start out with saying I love the new logo. I've seen it, the redesign.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to talk a little bit more about that. What made you decide to change it up? How did you change it up? Did you use some kind of software to do it, or did you do it by hand? Or tell us the new logo design.
Well. So this new logo design was actually conceptualized October, November?
Oh, no, long before that.
Was it before that?
July, August?
July and August.
We were first approached with it?
Yeah, and it was, you watched the Metal Lab. Do you watch the Metal Lab?
Yeah, I do. I might have missed that one.
Funny-looking ginger bastard I have on my show. He came up with that in the summer. I did like the design. But ultimately, when he showed it to me, it was a weird time. It was a very busy time because it was convention season, tournament season. We had a ton of information to manage and a bunch of stuff. The channel was particularly busy this time of year. At the time, I think we were pre-organizing for nationals at the time. And when he presented it to us, I was like, I like the logo. Don't get me wrong. He gave me a couple colors. And a couple
of different designs.
Yeah, I turned to Amber and said, "What do you think of these?" She's like, "I like this one." I was like, "Okay, Mike wants to use these as a new design," and we were like, "Okay, well, this is going to need some new T-shirts, which we still haven't got a chance to order yet. This is going to need a couple redesigns on a whole bunch of things that we do, and January is a better time to do that." So it was a long time coming, and Mike has really been on top of getting some new art assets for us. Don't get me wrong, Amber is more artistic than I am, but that's not saying much. But at the same time, she's good at what she does. Just Mike happens to do it professionally.
Yeah, Mike is actually, other than a Hero Clix provincial champion and regular...
There's no such thing as a professional Hero Clix player.
I didn't say that. I said a Hero Clix provincial champion.
Yeah, I know.
Anyways, he, by day... He is actually a graphics designer, so he's been wanting to make these designs for us for a while now. Personally, I was the biggest hurdle in all of this because I made all of the logos so far by hand, and this was something that I did at the very beginning when we first started almost 3 years ago now, and it felt like a little bit of my soul was getting taken out of the show. And there's a lot of the show that I'm actually not involved with, and it was one less thing that I wasn't involved in anymore. So I was the biggest hurdle. I finally kind of was like, all right, it looks good. It's professional looking. We've been around long enough. Enough people know us that, okay, let's go with this. And now that I've got the new editing software, I was able to upload the same font that Mike used, and if you watch the latest game that actually has the latest Patron team on it, the Avengers Age of Ultron versus the Age of Ultron Ultrons, you'll actually notice the title cards have all been updated as well. Now those were all me. So that was my big thing where I'm like, okay, Mike can make the logo, everything else I'm going to do. So once I was able to get the font in, find out how to do the right title cards and everything, make all the brand new graphics, then I was like, okay, we can go ahead and do this.
Yeah, we still have a little bit of work to do as far as getting the T-shirts, we have to change a whole bunch of paraphernalia that we use,
I don't feel like we need to change our action tokens just yet, because those are kind of like a, hey, this is what we used to be like. But yeah, the T-shirts are going to be a big thing, is upgrading those with the new logo.
Incidentally, now that I'm thinking about it, Mike is getting really excited about the idea of card sleeves being an important aspect of your Clix, and has been
Can we get married with Clix card sleeves?
We're working on it.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it may become a patron reward depending on the cost involved behind it. More to be heard in the future, though it may be a reward we're looking for long-time patrons. So, Mike, you're pretty safe on that one. Matt, you're pretty safe on that one.
That's our longest-running patrons right now, I believe.
And we might also make it a reward for regular appearances on the Patron Hangout. So if you guys are watching, patrons, and want to join in, by all means, get your questions to us somehow. Comment on the post on the wall, or send us an email. We'll happily answer your questions. Participation is key. Just think about it as we work this whole wizardry out.
Oh, I'm so excited now.
Yeah. Also, since I'll do it publicly, yes, the action tokens are in for December now. I will be sending them out very shortly, along with the November ones, and then we put in our order. We're going to be putting in our order for the January ones within the next couple of days. The Patron money just came in today, so we're kind of dealing with the budgeting of that as well. We got to make that announcement, I guess, to the public now that Practice Night episode issue number 0, we'll call it, is going to be filmed, and I'm going to announce it now. We are going to acquire an extra brick of World's Finest because the next major tournament all of us have in common is the WizKids Open, and it's going to be World's Finest Sealed. So, what better way to get a good practice night in than all of us try out a SEAL team and just have a little mini tournament, try out our builds from our packs, talk about our mindsets, and share it with everybody. So, hey, I got a chance to throw an advertising on that. How about that? All about a logo change, eh?
I didn't realize that my leg was resting on the desk, and I totally just shook the camera doing that.
Yeah, it doesn't take much to shake these little desks. We have little IKEA desks that we
IKEA.
we use. We got to do something about this corner of hell that we have. just so you get an idea, my desk is over there, and in the middle is this shelf. So, another look. This is all perfect documentary footage. That is not documentary footage and is going live. Sorry, I got a little excited about all the information in regards to behind the scenes stuff when we started talking about the logo.
So yes, the logo is something that was in the works for a good 6 or 7 months and was finally implemented when we had the chance to sit down and make sure that we could actually have logos for absolutely everything. Redid Metafix, redid Dial It Up. You'll see those in the next week's episode when they goes live. I may have used the new Metafix. All the brand new titles for the games have all gone live now. So I think the last thing now is just getting upgraded T-shirts to go with it.
That's the one that costs money.
That's the longest that it'll take because that's the one that's going to cost us money. And I think, unfortunately, as much as it was a good solution when we first came across it, we probably won't be using Spreadshirt this time around and possibly go see Vistaprint or if
Mike had a good provider.
Yeah.
So we'll find out what he used. He made Metafix T-shirts for us to go to tournaments with.
The MetaLab ones.
Yeah, MetaLab ones. And it was a really cool design on it. I don't know if did we post a picture of us at the Windsor Super Q? So
that actually showed up in my Facebook video of like, hey, you're friends, and it's like these are the picture you shared, and it was the Meta Lab with Kevin and
the Meta Lab
Patrick
and Majestics
at Windsor is really cool.
Mike likes to refer to the Meta Lab or the Meta Lab team as Majestics North.
Yeah, pretty much.
Patrick is a longtime supporter of the channel, though, both financially and in other ways as well. And actually, Patrick is one of our biggest backers as far as our position on the recent 24 hours of HeroClix. So, he actually had he was telling me he had a 2,200-page article that he just finished right as they announced the new thing. And I was like, well, I bet it felt good when you were writing that article. So, oh, man. I was really looking forward to seeing that, too. All right. Matt, you're up next.
Well, because you gave us a little micro tour of your desk and stuff, I thought the next map they make should be a Meta Lab map, with each of your headquarters, and, the HeroClix can battle it out in, Jason's lab and, Mike's whatever, I don't know.
Excuse me a second.
I'll let you work on that.
Wesley, are you listening?
Hey,
Wes, I got a great idea.
Hey!
Obi-Wan Chris just joined us. Hey!
How's it going?
That's awesome, because then you'll have the corner of Jason's whole and it will really just be a map of walls and hindering, because it'll be like Jason's corner of Meta Lab, and then Amber's editing desk, and then the table that we actually play games with, complete with our microwave that we use as a tripod, so that we can actually get that terrain. So we can
hindering terrain that does penetrating damage?
The angle of the game. Because our microwave is on a trolley, and we wheel that out so that we can put our tripod on top.
Yeah. Our fridge containing Kyle Rayner's girlfriend. Wait, no, that's Major Force. Hold on.
Every chance.
Every refrigerator joke involves Kyle Rayner. Deal with it.
We don't even set him up anymore. Just find ways to make this joke.
Well, we were talking about our house. Our house has a refrigerator. Kyle Rayner. But yeah, I actually kind of hope Wes watches this and hears this and designs something for us, and I would happily purchase several to kind of deal with as prizing or something like that. Just a couple people have the special Meta Lab, we'll call it, or because I guess we have to put portals to Mike's apartment because Mike lives in Toronto. Yeah. Now we live in Mississauga, which is a suburb west of Toronto. Mike lives in Toronto. And then Jay lives in Richmond Hill, which is kind of north. And then sometimes Tom is in Mike's place. Well, most of the time lately, Tom's in Mike's place. But sometimes Tom is in Tom's place. But all I've ever seen is that one room of Tom's place. But then we did do that one episode where Tom was in his parents' house, and we did an episode where it was my house. So it might be just like several rooms that are in just actually different houses.
There's no doors. There's no doors.
There's portals.
There's portals connecting all of the different. It's just walls, hindering terrain, and portals.
Webcams. They're all webcams. That's what they are.
That would be cool, You just surprise your opponent on the opposite side of the field.
What was that, Matt?
I was just saying, tactically to pop across the whole map. That would be fun.
Yeah, or, when you're next to Mike's desk, you lose your soul. How many Ginger Day jokes am I going to make at Mike's behalf without Mike being here? Mike actually asked to be on one of these one time, and I told him maybe we'll think about it, but I got to stop making fun of him behind his back. I hope you're watching right now, Mike, actually. That way it's not behind your back, it's right to your face. You're a ginger. Whew. All right. I'm uppity today, man. I'm celebrating today.
Holy fuck! You're horrible.
Dude, I'm on the downhill from the roller coaster. It was all uphill, and then oh my god, I'm coming down. Okay.
Yeah, I thought you might have needed a stiff drink after the last.
I'll make sure to buy him extra beer tonight.
Yeah.
It's been an interesting week.
Yeah.
It's been stressful for me because I'm on a new contract at work, which takes me a lot further than I'm used to traveling right now. So I'm adapting to a very early morning right now. And even if people are like, well, you need a car, but right now a car would actually make my commute longer because half of my commute's on trains. So
Yeah.
actually most of it, almost 100% of it is on trains. So even on the LRT in Scarborough. Anyway, Chris has joined us for the first time as a patron, and I want to get him in on his question. So now, Chris, right now we don't have your mic showing; it's muted. So, okay.
Yep, there we go.
I didn't want to interrupt you guys. Sounds like you
okay.
celebrate. How do I sound?
What's that?
How do I sound?
You sound fantastic.
Okay, just good deal. Wanted to make sure. So yeah, I got some questions for you guys. I'm obviously excited about the changes, or the lack of changes. That they're not going to put the dials on the cards. That's good.
Well,
Except that they're going to put them on the back of the cards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Solution.
Yeah, exactly. For friendly games, you can still see the back and all that. But we've been over that back and forth the past couple weeks. No, I don't have any special questions. I just figured I'd join in tonight. I thought my wife was going to be with me. We play some Clix. She's not as passionate about it as Amber is, but I think she does it more just to humor me. I don't know.
I guess that's where we differ. We met on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I wasn't that lucky, but she's great in other ways, and hopefully she'll be here soon and she can say hey to you guys. I'm sure you've seen my post. I put casados con Clix, which is married with Clix in Spanish. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but it's in tribute to you guys. I really appreciate what you do and all the content y'all put out. Anyhow, I know how much you like your generic teams, and I was wondering if you had seen the team that I posted on your web Facebook site there. The scientist team with Speed Demon, Doc Ock, Goliath, and Hank Pym. I don't know if you had gotten a chance to see it or not. They've got the Sinister Syndicate ATA on them. And just wanted to get your thoughts on the team.
Actually, I got it right here. Okay, so you got Speed Demon, Doc Ock, Goliath, Hank Pym, 2 with the original Sinister 6. Which one was it? The original Sinister 6 wasn't. I'm thinking Sinister 12, where you get extra attack if you have the numbers, but you have 4, so that's not guaranteed.
It's what happens is if Speed Demon lands an attack, he puts a Sinister Syndicate token on the character he attacked, if he hits the attack, of course, and deals damage, I believe. And then when any other character using that team ability attacks that character, they modify their attack value by +1. So essentially, you can make it all the way to the other side of the map in one turn. And attack with Speed Demon, and also flurry twice with Doc Ock, and again that's on the other side of the board. So it's 5 attacks, and Doc Ock can get up to with the perplex from the Ant-Man, which you have to make Speed Demon a giant in order to make this work. So he can carry Doc Ock, of course. Doc Ock gets to like a 12 or 13 attack if Speed Demon lands his hit. So, I don't know. I thought it was pretty good. Get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. Actually, this seems to be the common strategy that I'm seeing with Doc Ock is there's a lot of options in the scientist keyword to get some kind of colossal or some kind of giant to take the Doc Ock after he's taken his power action and throw down 4 attacks with him and possibly get an attack out of another one.
Right.
We actually saw a build at a recent Rock that had Dr. Demonicus. He would pop out the Colossal. The Colossal would carry Doc Ock after taking the power action, who would then attack 4 times on a big Alpha Strike. And then you've also got the Giant Colossal in their face. And I think it also had a TKer in a Star Labs deck to pull the Doc Ock out of danger. And then your opponent either has the choice of go chase down the Doc Ock, which is crazy talk, or to go fight the big Colossal, which is less crazy, but still a big pain for a 0-point figure because those stats on those Colossals from the Dr. Demonicus is big. So now you've taken a very similar approach by using Ant-Man and Giant Man or Goliath, being able to turn Speed Demon into a giant, which is actually gives you 2 attackers on that because Speed Demon makes his attack, adds 3 damage to the strategy that I just described, and then adds Doc Ock's potential 12 damage with the 2 flurries, and you've taken that, added an extra 3 damage, which when you describe 15 damage, I get terrified. Because Flurry, one of the great things about Flurry is every attack doesn't have to target the same character.
No.
Right.
So I can lead in with a Speed Demon, do some damage to one guy, have Doc Ock, and given that most characters are 6-7 clicks nowadays, have Doc Ock possibly finish off the mess that Speed Demon left with attacks left over to still go after the next guy so long as you're in the right area. And because of the giant reach, that's a sizable area, about a 8-square zone, I think I'd say. So I do really like the strategy of just doing so much damage with the Doc Ock and catching people off guard. And I definitely suggest giving it as many tries as you possibly can because I think these guys all come with the Sinister Syndicate team ability too, and I think you described it where you can share Speed Demon. I think has an 11 attack, so you share that with the Doc Ock, and you're looking at a worried face from your opponent, to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, again, Nick Fury hits a shape change, then you're kind of screwed, right? That you can't. That even if it's on the first flurry attack, does he get it on each flurry or each attack?
Once he gets the shape change, the character who he shape changed against can't attack him for the rest of the turn. So if he nails the first flurry, he's done for the rest of the attacks. He's got to find another target. But if he hits the second one, the rest of the attacks, third one. So it all depends on when he hits it. That it could be a bit of a nightmare.
Sure. Especially in the sense of somebody who has shape changes, that every single attack, regardless of whether it's a flurry, with the fact that he gets the flurry twice. That's the whole deal with the dog.
Yeah, he gets flurry twice.
Yeah, he flurries twice. Every single one of those 4 attacks that Doc Ock is making Nick Fury is going to roll that shape change. Now, he is not traded shape change from what I remember.
Nick Fury is traded shape change.
Oh, he is traded. Okay, so that one's just going to, against Nick Fury, you're just going to have to roll it all 4 times and hope that the 1 in 3 chance he doesn't land on the shape change. But that's also in the beautifulness of having the Speed Demon is being able to run in and hit and position the Doc Ock exactly where you want him to have him to be, so that he's not only attacking Nick Fury, and that it's possible for him, so long as your opponent is compliant in the fact of putting his figures together, that you're going to be okay. Nick rolled a shape change, time to take out this other character.
It's a pretty safe bet because a lot of Nick Fury teams are pretty bubbly. In bubbly, I mean they stick together and generally form a bubble of turtle shell doom. But at the same time, if Nick Fury rolls that shape change and you've got yourself close enough, I mean, with giant reach, that's a pretty big zone that you can attack. Hit the next guy. So
if nothing else, I guess if your opponent moved up a little bit, Speed Demon could run around Nick Fury first and possibly deal him that 1 damage. That doesn't even get his shape change roll on that, right? As long as you roll like a 3, I guess, and run at least 4 squares around him, I suppose, something like that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I do like about characters like Speed Demon. If you've got shape change, then F it, I'm not gonna attack. I'm just gonna find another way to do damage to you.
Sure.
And Poison has become my best friend. The Red Lantern is definitely my resource of choice of late. Because I'd rather my attacks be bonuses to my success as opposed to the requirement. Although, at the same time, I've run into teams with Invincible that I just couldn't make the attack roll against. One example is I played against a 200-point Supreme Intelligence whose team I murdered. But unfortunately, I had a Red Lantern Animal team that just I couldn't hit. I couldn't make a hit stick because when I did hit, he propped it away, and no amount of rocket raccooning was saving my life on that team. But at the same time, found I'm very comfortable with Red Lantern, and I've just got to find certain ways around certain issues. And the Supreme Intelligence is such an edge case in the meta right now that I don't often expect it.
I totally forgot you went up against that was
a Wizard's Catch Winamap.
Yeah, Winamap.
I don't get them in competitive tournaments as much as I like to talk about it. So yes, I definitely agree that Doc Ock is one of those new characters that's going to catch a lot of people off guard.
Oh,
Your team idea is fantastic, and it's other well-placing players have come up with it. So you're definitely on the right mindset because that's something to think about. It happened to me when I built the Red Lantern animal team. Started with a Phoenix Force animal team. And I presented it to a couple players, like, can I talk to you after Worlds? Because apparently I come up with an idea similar to something somebody on their team would come up with. So when you see that, don't get discouraged if somebody else has come up with the same idea. If it's a successful team and people know about it now, it means you're on the right thought path.
No doubt. I talk a lot about the Midnight Suns on my comments and questions to you guys. Have you thought about running them maybe with the red battery? I mean, that's like you get the best of both worlds. You can't have lines of fire drawn to you, and the penetrating poison, of course, is good. And with the change to entities being equipment now, you can keep a theme team a lot easier. Throw a couple entities on your blade or whatever you want to make, whether it be a mystical monster. He's got a lot of keywords. I know I talk a lot about that character, but I don't know. Just my thoughts.
Don't tell everybody!
Oh, I guess you noticed Nightwing. Wild card with stealth.
Yeah.
And outsiders.
And outside, dude, he's the I referred to it as Nighthawk Prime for the masses. Everybody can get this guy. He's 25 points with the you can play him at 25 points with the Outsiders team ability. He comes with stealth. He comes with wild card. Because is it Batman team? No, he's got stealth. Sorry, he's got stealth. He's got the Outsiders team ability. He is a wild card as a trait.
And martial artist.
And he's martial artist keyword, which there's a lot of characters with martial artists, and there's a few options somewhere in there. I might actually whip out a Shang-Chi for a major tournament one day soon.
Right.
I'm gonna be like, don't give me that look, Amber. I'm gonna be the guy who I'm bringing back Shang-Chi. Don't call me.
Well, I appreciate your help on that. Maybe I'm sure these other guys got some questions as well.
Absolutely.
More questions.
So in the rotation, I believe it's Mike. It's your turn.
Alrighty. So I would like to know what is your favorite. No, I want to say your favorite, but the Clix that you love the most. And I'll tell you mine. That long shot from way back in the X-Men pile. I remember playing him in a cooperative game where we were playing the judge, and I believe he was had one of the horror Clix with the one green dragon monster that.
Fin Fang Foom?
No, yeah, something like that. Yeah. Anyway, so. Longshot has that luckiest man in the world, and that night he proved it to me because no matter what the judge did, he really was the luckiest man in the world. Judge was just missing roll after roll after automatic the
automatic crit. Right?
Yeah. So then I want to know. I just love that character, Longshot and that Click. What do you guys? What would you say you love the most?
Single figure I love the most?
Yep.
Colonel Logan. Originally, it was the original Colonel Logan that you got in the Danger Room scenario pack, limited edition pack, whatever that was, that came with the Hound and the Sentinel.
Oh, yeah, okay. The original Days of Future Past.
Yeah, the set. played the. Sorry,
eating on camera, Amber. The professionalism is real right now.
I played the crap out of it, and if I don't know if anybody caught my, I put a long impassioned post on HC Realms and the whole don't do the card thing. I mentioned that in the many years that I have played this game, I have memorized one dial, and that was the original Colonel Logan. Because he had a surprisingly long dial for what he did. He did a lot. He was, up until that point, a Wolverine that we had never seen before, because we always got the Charge Blades Battle Fury, the Stealth Battle Fury, the Charge Regen Blades. Like, that was all you ever got out of Wolverine, because this is pre-cards. So Wolverine was just this, and other than, like, the Logan that did nothing in the patch that was Stealth and Perplex. But you got this really big heavy hitter. He had range, he had charge, he, like, the first half of his dial he was a shooter, the second half of his dial he was a close combat guy, and, like, he was just amazing. And then, like, fast forward to a year or so ago, and we got the Days of Future Past Gravity feed, and they remade Colonel Logan, and I died. It is the best, absolute best iteration we have ever had of Wolverine, and it made me so happy. He has traits that is just like, I've been wanting this Wolverine for like 13 years. And when you put him, he gets +1 to his attack and defense for each opposing character that is based with him. So you throw him in here and you don't care. He can be based with 3-5 guys, and he just gets better the more guys that are next to him trying to come at him. Every other click, he has a special power where at the beginning of your turn you just heal back up, and then you heal back up onto a click where he's got charge and 12 attack and 18 defense, and it's just like you're just pecking away at him, and he's amazing. The only issue is that he is, I think, other than the Vampire Lord Wolverine, the highest point Wolverine in the game so far. I think he's like 168, 158 points. He's really big, and I've tried really hard to make a team around him in 300 points. I just can't make it work because he's so much of the team, but that is, to this day, my absolute all-favorite Wolverine was the Colonel Logan, both iterations of him.
And for myself, I have a two-way tie, and it is the most recent 2 iterations of the Question. Now, as a Hulk fan, I like characters who like to brawl. But unfortunately, up until recently, the Hulk really couldn't brawl, but then the Hulk became an army. Whereas the Question became a brawler that I kind of relate to in the fact that he's somewhat thoughtful about his bringing it. Because the Flash Question and the Convention Question, the one that came with the Trinityson base, are both figures that really reward a player who knows how to move around the map, a player who knows how to make the best use of a full dial, a player who basically loves every aspect of this game and likes to just take every possible advantage and make every possible advantage and use it as best they can. And that's what both of those questions really represent for me. One question punishes my opponent for using Perplex, gives me access to all the standard powers on the dial at the cost of one of the standard powers that he has currently, and I can't tell you how many times I've dropped Smoke Cloud to go get myself Charge and Flurry. This character is, the con one is my brawler, one of my top 2 brawlers, sharing a spot with the Question from the Flash, who has the ability to go and go and go and go and go and go and go. Courtesy of his, I think if he uses Outwit when he has 2 action tokens, gets 1 action token removed. He's indomitable on top of that, and then he can use Smoke Cloud when he uses Poison or makes an attack. So honestly, I'm drawn between any dude with no face and a hat right now, named the Question. I like my magical poofty poof. I like my detectives. I like magical poofty poof detectives. So the Question definitely. It depends on what you're making me choose. If I have to choose between the 2, I'm probably more likely to take the con one, though depending on the team I've already got, it may actually fit into the Flash one. Oh.
Yeah. So it was actually Cthulhu that I was playing, like from the old horror clicks and stuff like that. It was unfortunately I kept missing after prob roll after prob roll. He was just kept missing and missing and missing like that. And Long Shot really was that night the luckiest man in the world.
We have a picture of him smoking.
Yeah, we do. We have a picture of all the old Colossals smoking. I used to have a bad habit, and all the Colossals had open fingers. And I decided one day, or claws, or crinked hands, and we decided one day while I was having a cigarette that we were going to give all my Colossal cigarettes and take pictures of it.
We were really young.
We were really young, and it's a habit I've since quit because I no longer work in the restaurant industry, and there's no point in me doing it.
Now.
Well, yeah, and they cost money. But that said, it's funny. We used to play Horror Clix. We tried to play that Cthulhu in the game of Horror Clix, and his stats are Hero Clix level, and Horror Clix doesn't. The stat lines in Horror Clix definitely compete with Horror Clix. Hero Clix would crush Horror Clix if they were put in the same game, as I proved when they had the Horror Clix compatible chase zombies from Supernova.
No, it wasn't the zombies that did it. It was the Freddy versus Jason.
Yes, but I still crushed everybody with those zombies.
Only with the Hulk though, because he was the only one that was good.
Well, the Hulk was insane. He was levels of insane.
Spider-Man had like wasn't energy explosion.
No, there was an energy explosion in Horror Clix.
In Horror Clix, it was like steel energy.
When you played Horror Clix, every character came with its own PAC. So like you'd get a character, you'd get a card, and then depending on what was on that card, actually color coded to specifically that character. So while character A, like let's say Zombie Astronaut, yes, that was a thing. Zombie Cosmonaut had black on his defense, but that's the equivalent of toughness on that character. Whereas black on the defense for this character was combat reflexes, and black on the defense of this character was super senses. It was a weird dynamic across the board that I think was really the cause of a lot of confusion in that game. There's no consistency across the board because they wanted customization for each character and not to be limited by some kind of PAC. And we enjoyed the game a great deal, but anyway, yes, we had the Cthulhu. We loved the Cthulhu, and we just hated playing it in Horror Clix, so we ended up just translating the Battle of Hero Clix somehow, and that was a little bit more of a fair game. All right.
Hey, Jason, I missed your favorite figure.
It's a two-way tie between the question and the question.
Oh, okay. This guy. This one.
That's the Flash one. Yep. I like both the Flash and the Con ones. So
He's another. I'm sorry. He's another good candidate for Midnight Suns as well. I'm using him tomorrow on a team with the orange battery. So we're gonna see how that goes.
There's a lot of mystical Midnight Suns. Make a mystical team. Put Midnight Suns on one of the characters. He can wild card from another mystical character, even if it's uncopyable. Exactly. Boom.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And this guy with the new KC Batman can copy the KC team ability.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
Detectives.
Yeah.
There's some fun to be had with.
There's some craziness to be had because he is one of the few figures in the game that can copy an uncopyable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, design intent is take quintessence from Phantom Stranger, and they didn't realize what they were going to be doing with Kingdom Come, I think. All right, Matt.
Yeah, I did. My next thoughts were really along the lines of, taking this breath after what's been going on. There's a lot of good positive things coming out. So what are you looking most forward to for 2016? There's a lot to look forward to, but let's have a good positive thing to think about.
Aside from the mass amount of tournaments that we're going to be able to attend, because it's here. No, it's not there anymore. I got a passport!
Nice.
I can legally travel outside the country now.
We're halfway there.
So that aside, tournaments aside, I'm really looking forward to Uncanny X-Men. I am really looking forward to the fact that we're probably going to see at least 2 to 3 different versions of X-23. I'm not going to get into my long-winded version of it, but I have actually come to appreciate the character in comics and accept her and I'm excited to finally see her in Wolverine's costume now that she's taken up the mantle as the all-new, all-different Wolverine. I'm actually really excited for Clix FX. It was almost disappointing when it first got announced as to what they were, only because we were expecting so much more.
I was gonna say we overhyped that ourselves. We did that to ourselves. I made peace with that.
Once it comes down to it, looking at I'm really excited for these things, but I'm always excited for add-ons, for anything physical that you can put on the board. We go out of our way to find 3D figures for bystanders, for making figures. Something that I did 2 years ago now, maybe. When Slosh came out, I had like a whole tutorial on our blog when I was actually using our blog.
The triplicate girl.
I made my triplicate girl actually a switch click so that I could have the triplicate bystanders out on the board. So for me, Clix FX is a really big thing that I'm excited for. There's not too much that other than that. I'm not so much excited, but like really interested and looking forward to how Civil War is going to work, because it's a storyline OP that is going to be, or at least the suggested format, the way I'm going to run it as a judge, there are going to be pods of battle royales. I'm very excited and very interested to see how to make these battle royales work in a regular format, tournament format. I've only ever run battle royales as side events, as to main side events of main bigger events. So actually doing the big event as like pods of battle royales is going to be very interesting to see how that works. So we'll see if Superior Foes is supposed to come out. I apologize to anybody I upset about this. I hate Spider-Man. I hate Spider-Man so much.
Okay, but Amber, Amazing Spider-Man.
That was a good set. That was a really good set.
That was a Jason set.
It had nothing to do with
featuring
Spider-Man.
some dude named Spider-Man.
So I'm hoping that the Superior Foes is going to do a lot more of Spider-Verse and focus so much more on the villains and have really good subsets that I won't care that it's about Spider-Man, because fuck that guy. I just that is just. But you know what? I want to know what the next DC set is going to be, because we've got another big summer of Marvel HeroClix, and as much as I'm torn between the two, sometimes I'm more Marvel than I am DC, sometimes I'm more DC than I am Marvel. It's just like we've had so many Marvel sets compared to how little we've had of DC sets. I want to hear what's going on with DC. We know of the next 2 Marvel sets and a storyline OP Marvel set. I want to know what's going on with DC.
Batman vs. Superman.
Oh.
Yeah.
Movie set. All right. As for myself, maps. Me and Tom have been complaining about the Okay, if you watch Metal Lab, you know me and Tom had the same complaint. Where are our maps? If you watch the most recent maps episode, yeah, Mike, we finally got that map episode out. You'll see, I kind of pointed out the difference if the next modern cut comes July and we haven't seen new maps, the map stack goes from this to this. Like, it's a drastic change in the available maps to us. And we've been getting worried because Fast Forces, in lieu of maps, have been giving us an extra figure, an extra gimmick. The Trinity War one gave us Atomica. The Shield gave us Henry. Okay, I'm cool with Henry. Nothing better than a holographic monkey.
The Superman Wonder Woman gave us the Helmet of Fate.
Yeah.
The World's Finest is going to give us the weapons drop.
And so on and so forth. So, but now that they've announced that we're going to be getting these felt-like, neoprene-like maps, and I know WizKids has a decent enough... Excuse me, holy smokes, all this beer. They do have a provider that makes the right material, because Dice Masters has the dice mats. So,
nice.
And they are nice, and if that's the same provider that's making the maps, is making these, I mean, like, here we got your Yu-Gi-Oh one here. It's wonderful material, and I'm gonna shine this right under the light and look, no glare.
Yeah.
So for us, that's amazing, because if you think of the camera work involved, you think I don't know if that recent game, the map fold that I was fighting with almost the entire game, I had more strategies against that map fold than I had against Amber in that game.
A lot of that got cut out, so if you see the most recent game, Jason's phone case is sitting in the middle of the map. That's actually why that is there.
I was at war with the map. But anyway, and like that felt just kind of sits, and it's really nice. The dice kind of don't just flatten on it; they actually bounce off of that material, which makes the dice rolls less like suspect. Overall, and the fact that we're gonna get this material of map that isn't ROC specific, and I love Wes's maps at HC Atlas. Unfortunately, they're not WizKids approved maps, but we now have that material map to carry around with us. I don't have to worry about that rip and tearing that happens when I unfold. My Ryut is done for. I need Ryut to be taken out of the metagame soon because I use that map a lot, and my Zamoran has holes in it, and I'm not that kind of Star Sapphire.
We have the original 4-player Origins map that I'm pretty sure is only holding on by sheer will.
Oh, that's the Dawn of Time. We don't have Origins.
Okay, we don't have the Origins one.
But
still, one of the old 4-player maps.
Yeah, that one's held together by sheer willpower. One day we're going to need that for another 4-player game. One day, all of our friends that usually come to the table game have recently had children. All 3 of them, as a matter of fact. They've all had their second children now, or first in our case of our buddy Joel. And they're kind of taking some time to, get into the groove of things. They don't want to leave their wives or, significant others to, on their own with the kids just to go play HeroClix. That's, when they're at that age, you kind of want to be around and be part of everything. So we're kind of letting them do that. But one day...
It's the only advantage our eldest had. I brought her with me.
Yeah, our kids, we brought them with us to HeroClix for a while because we both wanted to go. But now the twins they can't sit still, so we do it. But yeah, overall, that's a long distance from maps. These maps I'm really excited for the maps. I'm excited for the design prospects that they're talking about, this generalist versus specialist thing. Now, as we were talking about that's kind of an old school thing that we're very familiar with. As far as this character does one thing and that's it, specifically for Perplex or whatever. It's basically the idea of the return of the con artist, where the con artist existed solely for Perplex. And we had Jane Foster or the paramedic specifically for healing. And that's what it sounds like what they're starting to introduce. But at the same time, they're taking liberties like the four different Batmen, the 4 different Superman that switched between each other. They have different, like a full subset of powers that's represented one at a time. Now, while I have an issue with that taking up 4 slots in a set, I think the mechanic is cool. I think each Superman has its place in the game. And I do like the idea of being able to choose them. And it's like, I like, but as a collector, I have an issue with. But having played in one pre-release and judged another and seen what's going on, I'm a little bit more hyped about Superman World's Finest than most of the guys locally, which is okay. We should make me collect it all. But overall, a lot of good news, and you know what? I'm kind of okay with the card change, to be honest. It gives my dials less of a workout. Now that I'm thinking about it. But and then at the same time, my opponent's not peeking with the new rule.
Yeah.
So not a lot of negatives anymore, and a lot of the negatives were focused on one point last night. And since WizKids has met players in the middle on that one, I'm in a much better place about the game in general. What's up?
As a adamant rules lawyer, judgy person, not judgy, judging person.
She judges me all the time. Don't let her fool you.
I am very, very happy that they are finally, after so many years, implementing key phrases and game terms for this game. I didn't want
to brag about it.
And
they used the exact same word that I suggested, Amber.
and it also even flows into this whole new card redesign, as we're gonna see a lot more information on the front of the dial, where the one that they've shown so far, by the time that we get these new cards, we should be done away with the explanations. What you're going to see in the next few sets is when they use things like linked or equip or effect or unique modifier, they're going to put in italicized parentheses that this is what this does. So right now, even if you look at the mock-up of the brand new card, it says unique modifier, and then underneath it says unique modifier. This is what unique modifier means. So that whole in brackets parentheses isn't going to be there anymore, so that space gets taken away. And then by saying unique modifier, which is only 2 words, is instead of saying unless already modified by this effect, which is a full-on sentence that they no longer have to have on there. So by bringing this down, like a lot of people are concerned, I'm concerned as well with the clutter that we're going to see at the front of the card. Going forward, getting more and more of these key phrases, these game terms, these, I don't want to say keywords because we have keywords. Keywords mean something else in HeroClix. But once we have these in place, we can just have those powers that say this, and it doesn't need to say anything else. If any of you guys are familiar with Dice Masters, there are characters that are just like, okay, this character is Overcrush. That's all that needs to get said on the card, but that means so much.
Aftershock effect.
Yeah. So, now that we're going to get this, it's going to cause less clutter. It's going to make this new card design a lot better. It's going to make things so much easier for newer players, for current players, even for judges, to just be like, oh, this is a unique modifier. I know what that means. Oh, this is an equipment. I know what that means. You link the dial. I know what that means. Instead of the, like, 4 paragraphs that entities used to have, I don't know, like, I actually went in and edited the PDF on, I believe, Parallax to change his wording from the original possessed entity, the 2 traits there, to the brand new equipped. And I didn't know what to do with the rest of his card because I had a full inch of card that no longer had text on it. I had to actually take standard powers from the inside of his card and bring them to the front of his card so that that space was filled up, because it wasn't there anymore. It took out a full chunk. So streamlining all of this is going to be so much nicer. I'm so excited for this, and it's actually going to make this whole new card redesign a lot more welcomed. When we're worried about how small the text is, once we get this in, we don't have to worry about that as much.
I think the first effect of that whole thing with the key phrasing with equip was seen with Brainiac. Because Brainiac is part of the new possessing, and he has enough powers that if he was made in War of Light, he would have been bookleted.
Yes.
But because they took away a lot of the wording, he became a single card character. Conversely, though, Eclipso, he does take up a booklet because he has so bloody many powers.
Completely different beast there.
Can you imagine if Crazy Jane possessed? She's already got a trait that resurrects her and needs wording for that. And God, I love that character. I can't wait to give her a try one day, just in a fun game like a Doom Patrol team. All right, so Chris, you're next in line, sir.
Oh, I was just gonna say Sauron for the Night Lantern amalgam.
Oh, the amalgam. Yes.
Yeah, you were talking about giving Crazy Quilt a try. So Sauron would be a good option, I believe, as well.
Yeah. Well, Sauron. Well, sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead. No, you.
Sauron is easy enough to put on a team. One of the discussions me and Amber had about that figure is there was a lot of challenges as far as choosing the character you're going to amalgam with, because there's some limitations. Thinking in that Blinder Zon 300-point metagame for competitive, the way I see it, Night Lantern, if you're going to use the amalgamation ability, costs 175 points, which doesn't leave you a whole lot of room for character. And immediately Amber's like, well, why don't you use Bizarro as amalgam? Well, Bizarro technically would count as 150 points because it's based on the peak dial of the character. And then you're like, so in a 300-point game, I've had to spend 175 points to make Bizarro an amalgam. I don't have room to have him possess anybody. Sure. So one of those things I'm looking at with Night Lantern, I love the character. I love the concept of it. So I'm starting to look at characters that are great for amalgaming. And you've already mentioned 2 fantastic ones with Sauron and Crazy Jane, right?
Yeah. What about Ultron drones being the character on the board, okay, because let's say you chose Sauron, correct?
Yeah.
He's a higher point value than the Ultron drone.
Okay, so I think what ends up happening is the amalgam ability triggers at build.
No,
So
at the beginning of the game.
oh, is it at the beginning of the game?
Well, okay, at the beginning of the or during force construction, you pay 25 points and
Right.
choose a character on your sideline. At the beginning of your game, at the beginning of the game, you choose a character on your force that's lower point value or higher. I can't remember.
The character who's being possessed has to be higher points than the character that's possessing them. So, for instance, if the timing you're talking about is correct, then yes, at build, Sauron becomes 25 points, and if you assign it at the beginning of the game, after build, Ultron is more than 30 points.
He's 120.
So it's only at build that he's 30. After build, he's between 60 and 125, depending on which Ultron drone you're using. Generally, though, 120.
Sure.
So if that is the actual wording on the card, again, I don't have the character in front of me right now. I've only seen
I wish.
And
yeah, I wish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Here's hoping.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we had 2 cases on the way.
Yeah.
Plus, we're going to be doing the a sealed with the Metal Lab team as part of our Patron goal that we've accumulated to. We've got 1 episode of Practice Night that we're going to do. There's a chance we could possibly see this Night Lantern in person. So.
Now I'm
good
going to go
luck.
on the complete non-competitive side, and with Night Lantern being able to do amalgams, I want to bring out Darkclaw, and I want to bring out Sparrow, and I want to bring out all of the crazy compilation characters that they actually made in the amalgam run, and just have those characters actually on the board, because we will never see them actually on the board.
So would you play a Batman possessed by Wolverine or a Wolverine possessed by Batman?
Do you have to ask that?
I do have to ask that.
I would play, actually, it's worth looking at, but I think I would play a Wolverine possessed by Batman.
Because you do only get to choose standard powers from the characters.
Yeah.
I think that's a reasonable enough limitation on it. But I've also seen some characters with some wacky dials and lower point values. And there's a lot of scary potential in that character. I know I've said Crazy Jane at least twice, but there's also some characters that are low points. Like there's sub 50 hypersonicers. Right? Somewhere out there there's at least a 50-point hypersonicer somewhere out there that you can imagine a Nick Fury with hypersonic now. But again, that becomes your points because one of Night Lantern's limitations, though he's very cool, he
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I'm still here. What about you guys?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, you kind of froze there. Like there's more of that Canadian internet.
Yeah.
Are we back?
Yep, you're in. You're
Okay.
back.
Did we start lagging out on you guys?
Yeah.
That's weird. We just started paying for better internet. I'm gonna call Rogers right now.
Well, it might end up as far as in the meta game anyway. Some of the other point manipulation figures like the Nick Fury that has the LMDs and Mirror Master. Is that correct?
Mirror Master. Yep.
So who knows? Who knows what might show up? He might just be a niche figure in higher point games just for fun and all that. So and that has his place too. So
yeah, I think where you're really going to see Night Lantern shine, and I saw him shine at our pre-release the pre-release that I played in. Night Lantern won. He got first place. Second place was a team with Alloy, and third place was my team with the Mary Marvel. Night Lantern in Sealed is a very strong character because what he does is he's 175 points when you include the amalgam trait. He's a very solid character to play in Sealed. And then you think to that next level where now I've got a character who I was not going to play originally. There's enough low points in the set that there's some characters that will have some standard powers that are worth having on others. And then in that extra 125 points you have to work around, you put something on and then amalgam them with a character under their points and possibly to add some more variety to that character. I look to the Superman, this 90-point Superman, the one that zips, the one that, hold on a second, I have my hand here. I actually, for some reason, brought them down. This one here looks like he's zooming across the map already. That's 14 movement. There's hypersonic and super senses on there. I can think of a lot of characters that can benefit in this set by being amalgamated with that character. And just adding, like, I can't tell you how many times I come across a character where it's like, I wish they had X move and attack. Well, that 90-point Superman, if you pull a Night Lantern, he's just a common, if I remember correctly. Yep. So Night Lantern is a rare prime. That's a common character I'm talking about, and you could be playing another sizable character on the team that's amalgamated with that Superman or the Batman that are out there. There's a lot of options in the set. So actually, as a prime, he's going to shine real hard in a lot of sealed games, and I think a lot of people are going to get caught off guard by that.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this set.
Yeah, I think this set is DC's version of Nick Fury for sealed. Nick Fury sealed was like 5-6 figures in a 300-point game.
Sometimes more.
Yeah, sometimes more. I heard people announcing that they're doing 2-pack 400-point sealed for Nick Fury, and I called them drunk.
Yeah, there was someone mentioned that they had a 400-point sealed for this for
set.
one of the pre-releases, and it was like, how are you doing that? We couldn't get 300 out of like 2 packs.
Yeah.
Like,
We had, they said one guy played with all but 2 of his characters.
Yeah.
I think this was actually Aaron Cantu of 2 Clicks from KO was mentioning that. They ran a 2-pack sealed, and in a 400-point game, they had one guy playing 8 of their characters. I mean, a 400-point game, a 400-point sealed is definitely in the flavor of let's have some fun pre-release. But as far as an actual balanced sealed environment, which is semi-competitive, this is going to be a set that you have to be quite tactical with. Though at the same time, the 300-point limitation could make things like World's Finest shine a little better than I saw them shine at the pre-release. Of course, again, that also comes down to pilot, because you can have a 300-point character, but if you're not correctly picking your targets...
Or even matchups, like we had a World Finest pulled, but in the very first round, World Finest went up against the Lex Joker duo, and Lex Joker took them out.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's a cool sealed environment, and it's comparable to Nick Fury, like I said, and I do like that kind of tactical environment myself. It's where I thrive. And while I do most sets, I'll be like, I'm a tent puller and sealed, except when the set doesn't allow me to.
I had a crazy ass team, and I keep forgetting even now that I actually had a chase on my team. Went 3-0, came in 3rd place, and it was just because these KC guys are just so little when it comes to points. As Jason's always put it, is that you're basically getting a 300-point dial, but
just the first couple hundred points.
Yeah, you're only getting the top dial bit. You're not getting that last dial where they start coming down or start weakening, where every click is money. Every click is good. Yeah. I ended up pulling the Spectre, and my team was Spectre, Clarion the Witch Boy, Blackbriar Thorn, and 2 Mr. Nobodies. And that, like, on paper, that's a pretty crap team. And even in practice, it was a pretty crap team, but that Spectre really shined. In the first game, he basically became a turret. I put him on top of Elevated, and that 12 range, he just shot through my opponent's team. The second game was a really hard-fought battle versus the Emperor Joker, and Emperor Joker, Batman, Superman, and a Poison Ivy, and a lead. But, like, that was a really, really hard-fought game to the point where I only won by maybe 50 points, and, like, neither of us wiped. And then my third game was up against, like, a crazy, stealthy, mystical team, and it was just... I love this set so much right now. I'm really, really excited to get into opening it. And now I don't even remember where we started with this question.
It's okay. Me too. I'm just really excited for this set too.
Chris, welcome to the Patron Hangout, where me and Amber start on your topic, and we somehow end up across the room talking about bicycles.
No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm excited too. I pulled a Metallo, and he was the last man standing. That was the format we did, and he was the last man standing. I didn't win. I got second place, but I didn't get as many points. I had no flyers on my team, and it was either go around the hindering or go through the hindering. So I did the smart thing, went through the hindering, and it took me, half the game to get across the board. There's not many flyers in this set at all.
No,
I've noticed that, I'm sure.
It is surprising to have as many Supermen as we have in the set, and
I
of
know
the
flyers.
4 Supermen, one of them flies. And that's not including the super rare end or the KC figures, but they're chases. I mean, until you get to the Open, you can't really count on their existence in a sealed tournament. If you're playing in a local game, even if you get 20 players, you're still looking at about 2 cases, maybe 4 chases out there. You can't count on one of the 6 definitely being guaranteed.
Right.
But that 20 people in a seal, that's insane. But that's what we're going to see, I'm sure, at our
our draft, our pre-release draft, the initial
21?
one was 21. 21 players. We pulled 2
one I played
chases
in was
and 2 primes.
Yeah.
So,
I'm going to check the WES on mine because we both played. I judged the one that Amber played in. No collusion, I promise. Actually, Amber didn't even have any questions for me.
No.
Even though you played it all incorrect.
I didn't play it all incorrectly.
No. It's just, you know what? Instinctively, everybody always adds that +1 defense for hindering terrain. And the Kingdom Come characters don't allow that.
Yeah, they can't have their combat values modified unless it's by power or an ability from a KC character, so the map isn't going to affect them. And it wasn't something that I was like, oh, well, I'm 21 in this hindering. It was my opponent being like, okay, well, I'm shooting you through the hindering. That's a 21. Neither of us really thought too much of it. So, and even actually most of the attacks that he made on Spectre, he was doing it with Pulse Wave, so he wasn't adding in that in anyway, so I wasn't cheating that bad.
Yeah. It was 25 at mine.
Yeah.
So 21 at the one that you played in, 25 at the one I played in. But Mary Marvel, I mean, I know me, Jay, and Mike, and Tom are going to be taking a couple hours in one episode because of the importance of the sealed for the set. After the set comes out, we're going to actually be talking a great deal about figure by figure what the set brings to sealed. And honestly, the way I see the God Pack, I look at the God Pack and I say, that right there is pick your tempo or pick your team even, because you can play like a Green Lantern and Spectre and do fairly well, or a Shazam and Spectre and do really well. The God Pack is very highly likely to come into play in bigger opens. So you know what, we're seal's gonna be cool.
Let's go with more questions.
All right, Mike, you're up.
All right, so here's another, I guess, a 2-part question. All right, so as February is, pretty fun kind of ideas that it's been in the Pittsburgh region that I'm from and play in a lot. There's been a yearly tradition around February 14th because what we do or we like to do is we have certain rules and certain recommendations for builds and specific games and stuff like that. And in 1 week in February, we do the dating game, where we try and make a build having at least one or a guy and a girl or whatever, like have a couple, a canon-based couple in your team. So I want to know what you think of that. Does that sound like is that something you guys do up there? And 2, what is your favorite? Well, I guess narrowing it down to, because there's a lot of Clix that say that enhance their abilities when they're next to someone with that's a hard word to say. Yeah, like the sort coupling, a canon couple. What's your favorite canon couple in the Clix, limiting it down to like the people that say that they enhance each other when they're right next to each other.
So the Valentine's Day scenario is one of my favorite gimmicky scenarios that stores like to come up with, because you get to be, if you're really good at comic books, you can come up with some that people just didn't even see coming. And of course, the last time I got a chance to play with it was many years ago, because just Valentine's Day hasn't been lining up with tournaments I've been available to go to. I spent a lot of times in the restaurant industry where I wasn't available for those tournaments because I was stuck working, because Valentine's Day is a very busy time. Mm-hmm. So one of my things I used to do was to come up with the non-traditional couples, to say the least. And the one time I did get a chance to actually play in one of these, it was the year that Canada had had legalized gay marriage. So it's like, how many gay couples can I find in comic books? And I wanted to troll the group because like, it's legal now. But I do like to stretch it, or I do like to go deep into the comic book and find like one night stands even. In more recent years, I'm probably more likely to play Big Bertha and Deadpool nowadays, because that was a thing. And it was even funnier because Big Bertha goes into this like really hot girl form, and Deadpool's like, no, I want to be dating Big Bertha.
Screw the supermodel.
Right? I don't want the supermodel form. Get this out of here. I'm Deadpool. Or just anything that I can look at in the comic books and say that was funny, that was temporary. The wackier the better. I like to kind of stretch the limits of that format, and I try to avoid the Jean Grey, Scott Summers bollocks, because a ranged combat beast with a TKer is pretty standard. I'm gonna shoot the thing really hard and do it. I like to be different when it comes to the fun scenarios. For the fact that I run the Metafix show and the meta game level of this, I do like to get outrageous when it comes to super casual, super weird stuff, and I like to have fun with it. And I will generally push the Deadpool level extremes of things. And I don't mean like I will always use Deadpool. I'll just do something that, what would Wade Wilson do is what I would think. What about you, Amber? What are your thoughts on it?
Okay, so
before you carry on, because they recently announced Deadpool as a pansexual, who is the character with a pot on their head? Is that not what that means? Go ahead, Amber. Go ahead. I'm terrible.
I can't recall ever actually playing in a Valentine's Day scenario. Last year, I believe our players specifically asked us not to run anything special for Valentine's Day, because last year Valentine's Day did fall on a Saturday.
Yeah, and that was our tournament day.
And that's our tournament day, and our player base was like, please don't.
And then I called them all out because none of them have girlfriends.
And then, so last year, okay, without getting into any deep stories, I'm very jaded by Valentine's Day. And so last year, when I was feeling particularly jaded about it, I actually created a scenario for Valentine's Day that was like, screw this coupling and stuff. This is my Valentine's Day scenario. So it was titled Hell Hath No Fury. Of course, the common phrase on that is Hell hath no fury like a woman scorned. And so the build requirement is that everybody on your team has to be female, of some kind of female persuasion, even if they're like the dire rates, whatever. As long as you can convince your judge that that's a female character. And then you bring in 5 tokens, special tokens, whatever you want to use to represent them, and those are the ex-boyfriends. And basically your goal is to not only destroy your opponent's team, but you get extra points if you take out the ex-boyfriend tokens. So there are special rules in it. Each of them have like generalized stats that you would have a bystander would have, like.
I think we used a
16,
tourist stats or
17,
something like that.
Yeah,
for
like
yourself.
9 attack, 17 defense. Basically, you make an attack, and if you kill these bystanders, an extra like 25 or 50 points to your to your victory points at the end of the game. So while you're still like combating your opponent to win the game, you're also trying to get these extra victory points by killing off your ex-boyfriends. So that was my Valentine's Day scenario. But when it comes down to like funny coupling in Clix and stuff, and also characters that specifically work off of each other, I don't know how many times I played Dazzler with Longshot because those guys work together. In the most recent game, you saw me play the Black Widow and the Hawkeye because they give each other attack and defense. I never got a chance to actually play them, but was it Black Panther and Storm? There's a version of those that give each other things.
Yeah.
What I did play though was Colossal Boy and Chameleon Girl because that was cool. I didn't know those guys were a thing because I never read Legion of Superheroes. I watched the TV show, which was actually really cool. Made me love Shrinking Violet. She was all like emo and shit, and that appealed to me when I was a teenager. But yeah, when it comes down to like really weird couplings, I don't think it was specifically Valentine's Day based, but I know for sure that I have made a team of Wolverine and his hoes because that guy has made it around like the entire Marvel universe. If you have a hole he can put it in, he has put it in.
I also want to just mention in the text chat while we were yapping, you guys got to talking, and Matt just reminded me that Hawkeye is a pimp! Well, that's why I'm a big Hawkeye fan.
Oh, yeah.
It's not because he's cool, it's because he's a pimp.
In his recent series, all 3 girlfriends showed up angry at him at the same time.
Oh, that's gonna be
I actually have those really thick, those essential volumes, the like 300-page black and white comics of the first run, the 90s run of Wolverine solo. And there's one where Jubilee like tracks down Wolverine and finds him in like this really seedy motel, and like Jean Grey kind of like crawls out of bed and she's all like half naked and stuff. She goes to the washroom and Jubilee's all like scandalized and stuff because Jean Grey at the time was married to Cyclops, and she's like, "Oh my God, Wolverine! How can you do this? How can you let Jean Grey cheat on her husband?" And then like Mystique comes out of the bathroom, and she's like, "Yeah, he's into some kinky shit." I was like, "I love Mystique. She's awesome."
All right, I think Matt's up next on this one.
Now I'm blanking. When is the next Gravity feed coming out? Because, Jason, you have to dump it on Amber's head. I've missed that. We haven't seen it in so long.
Well, here's the thing. Gravity feeds were there used to be pre-release of sets. Like, Infinity War came up before the set, and we used to have those Gravity feed openings before a set would come out. They stopped doing that, which is okay because those were 10-figure sets. And I'm not going to lie, those openings got really boring to me, and the whole reason I dumped them on her head was because I was bored out of my mind with those. Now, the next one coming out, my understanding is the next countertop display that's really important, is some kind of reptile in the adolescent age that may know a martial art.
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles, as our sounds like. Yes, the Ninja Turtles is probably going to be the next one. Though I'm a little tentative to dump it on her head because there's not a guarantee of set size on that, right? Based on the size of what we're going to be expecting. But yes, expect Ninja Turtles to be dumped on her head. If not, the empty plastic of them or the empty bags, as you know.
This is giving me fair warning.
I mean, Amber, it's a countertop display. It ends up on your head. This is the thing, right? If I find out Donatello
This is what we do here at Married with Clix.
I just also want to point out, though, that if I find out that Donatello is fragile, it's not happening. So I don't want to hear about Donatello's breaking. As long as that's not a thing, then definitely dumping the display on her head and grabbing my 12 packs from it and letting her deal with it on her own. Matt, that's just gross. the text chat is still going on about couples.
Hey, that's another one we could throw Wolverine into.
No, he just watched.
Because apparently that was his children. Okay.
Stop.
Ultimate
sucked at the end. Okay, there's a reason the ultimatum happened.
They gave way too much control to the wrong people.
So yeah, I'm probably gonna dump Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles all over Amber's head, just like the ooze got dropped on their heads. And don't discount the idea of empty boxes of World's Finest being dumped on her head, because I do need some workout, some exercise, and I gotta get used to dumping things on her again.
This is also like the first set that we have to like protect with our lives, because as we mentioned, our 3-year-old twin terrors,
they're
like
Ninja
Turtles,
Yeah.
and they are going to steal our Ninja Turtle Clix. One of them already has his own HeroClix collection that he likes pulling out and organizing, and if we throw Ninja Turtles into that, it's gonna be a bad time.
Well, here's the thing, though. We do intend to purchase an entire case of the Ninja Turtles based on the existence of Chase figures in that, right? My understanding is that Krang is going to be a Chase, and with that, with that idea of Krang being a Chase, and the idea that look what happened to us. I didn't turn off the light. Remember what happened with the Nimrod in Days of Future Past?
Oh God, let's not have a repeat of that.
I don't want to pull a whole case and not get a Krang. But at the same time, I can live without Krang because he's lame duck. As long as I get my classic Kevin Eastman style Ninja Turtles, I'd be quite content with that. And as long as I get 8 Donatellos.
This is gonna be one of the sets, much like watching a Yu-Gi-Oh! One of our Yu-Gi-Oh! Unboxings is I won't know anything about it.
Oh, I promise you will know before we open who Bebop and Rocksteady. Okay, Bebop and Rocksteady's. You got the Warthog and the Rhino. You have. I'll have to put you through the Ninja Turtles second movie because I don't remember the name of the tortoise and the wolf thing. There's Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael, Leonardo.
I know the 4 turtles, and I know Shredder.
Okay,
and
so we have 24 figures that it could possibly be, and 12 of them are Ninja Turtles.
See, the problem that I had is that I was a girl in the 80s, which meant that when I was playing Ninja Turtles with my brother, I was only allowed to play April, and that's it. Because I had to play the girl.
Yeah, but April was in love with Casey Jones, Amber. So there's 2 characters that aren't the Ninja Turtles that you know.
Yeah.
And Shredder, Splinter, the Foot Soldiers, the Mousers,
No.
Baxter Eastman.
I don't know what that is.
All right, if it was Eastman, no, it was something odd. He was a lame duck who turned into a fucking bug. I also found out the Mousers were going to be Pogs, so I'm a little upset about that, but whatever, I'm over it. I was hoping for little plastic Mousers to play. Mousers are robots.
They showed the 3D models of them.
Did they? Because I could have sworn that they showed the starter kit being Mouser Attack and just the Ninja Turtles were shown on it. I might be wrong, and there might not be enough being shown in the box. I'm speculating at best. I'll need to see it in front of me, but I can't wait. Lots of awesome unboxings coming up. And
Well, we've got the Batman versus Superman, and then we can get, like Aquaman and the Flash and Cyborg and Doomsday and Wonder Woman and everybody else that they decided needs to be in that movie, because yay!
Well, at least there's enough for a set.
That's true. Take all the characters that are going to show up on screen for 5 seconds and put them in the set.
Is it... Okay, Aaron just jumped in. Is it Dr. Baxter with a question mark? I think it's Baxter Stockman. That's what it was. Baxter Stockman. Got it. Ha-ha! Victory! He turns into a bug, Amber. He's not important. He's a nerd. He's a nerd villain. He's a Donatello counterpart. All right, I think we talked at length that Ninja Turtles are going to get dumped on your head. And we just gave Amber a precursor to the Ninja Turtles world. All right, Chris, you're up.
Okay, so ID cards. We have DC ID cards now. That's interesting. I wasn't sure that we were going to be able to combine the two. I think that's really cool. You think about that Click 3, I guess, or Slot 3, whatever it is, or just the Quinjet in general. I mean, with a good roll, you're popping out a shifting focus Batman that is no longer an ID character for 5 points, and he's got 3 of his friends sitting on the sideline. I know that you run into, obviously, in 300 points, you run into problems with not having enough room on your sideline. You can only have 9 characters, but still, I think it's pretty neat that you've got that option. We already had that with Hank Pym, so imagine you got one Superman, one Batman, one Hank Pym, and they can all swap into whatever you need at whatever time. I'm sure you guys saw the transporter today.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Teleporter, yeah.
Or teleporter. That's going. You think we'll get a javelin?
You know what? One of our friends speculated maybe we'll see a javelin for the Justice League.
A lot of people have been speculating that we're going to see Oracle do the same thing that Jarvis did.
I hope so. I think it'll be cool.
Maybe
she'll have prob instead of perplex.
Probably.
Cool.
That's what I can see.
Yeah. Actually, when they first brought up the... He's trying to show...
Thanks, Aaron. Baxter Stockman, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my god, I actually saw Lego of him today.
Okay, carry on with your story.
So when they first announced that they kind of sprung on us that they were doing these ID cards, and it was actually a big surprise because none of the solicits, none of the advertising, nothing had mentioned that they were actually going to do this for World's Finest until they were just like, oh yeah, it's going to be in there. When it was first announced, my biggest concern was please, please, please make it work exactly like the Marvel ones. Only because, especially when it came to the resource, is that I didn't want these resources that utilize the same game mechanics in the ID cards to be completely different. Aesthetically, it's different because you have the Justice League teleporter with the world needs us
yellow instead
versus
of blue.
the round table with Avengers Assembled. It's that flavor for people. There are people out there that are only DC or only Marvel. We have a friend that didn't do the Age of Ultron. He has yet to play with this resource, so this is a brand new ID, brand new resource for him, brand new ID cards. This is a new mechanic for him because he is almost solely DC. So it's nice to have this on both because there are these purist players that are out there. Also, I like that it's going to cut down on the amount of confusion with characters because I would have hated to do a tutorial video on the teleporter and be like, okay, so this is the round table, this is the teleporter, this is why these are different. Now I can be like, remember that video I did about the round table? Here's the teleporter because it does the same thing. Now that being said, now that we actually have ID cards on each side, I am eventually going to do a video on how to use ID cards because I've been putting that off, mostly because I'm lazy.
Did you not do an episode on
ID cards? I never did an episode on ID
hold
cards.
on. We have this episode that I did on ID cards in the meta. 2 episodes on ID cards in the meta game, and you haven't done a rules episode on them?
No, only, and a lot of that actually
use them in the meta game, but don't get the rules from Amber.
A lot of that has to do with ID cards currently has one of the longest running threads on the WES, and every month or so you see 2 or 3 more questions added to that, and I just didn't feel like we had all the answers yet, that it was a mechanic that was it was still going. So I have the tutorial on the round table, I have the tutorial on the Quinjet, I just have not sat down as to this is what ID cards do when you're not using them with all of this extra stuff. But now that we're seeing it on DC, the only thing that makes me worried about the DC ones on it is that it hasn't been completely confirmed, but very highly speculated is that there's going to be 24 in the set. In the set alone. That's a lot of cards to collect.
Is that including the 4 that come with the case of sound? No.
Like, that's a lot of cards to collect in a single booster set, especially when you think that, I think right now on average we're looking at 2, maybe 3 cards per case.
5 cards per case.
Brick, I was thinking.
2 to 3 per case, or per brick, yes.
Per brick, on average 5 a case out of 24. Like, I may be misremembering, but I don't think there were that much in the other 3 sets that carried these.
There was 15% in the other ones.
Yeah, so adding in almost another 10 cards to collect, like that's hard, and it's hard to look at this from a WizKid standpoint because these case incentives, these add-on into the cases, the God packs, it's like, okay, we really, 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 really want you guys to buy this set. But on the other hand, we're going to talk about how much we hate the secondary market and we want to do away with the secondary market. But unfortunately, all of these things that they're doing, these incentives to make us buy these cases, is just fueling the secondary market because...
I think it's flooding the secondary market more than it's fueling it, if you think about it. If everybody's buying more and more product and more product is in people's hands, the secondary market definitely loses a ton of value and doesn't actually get fueled because everybody already has all of the things.
That's what happened with Nick Fury.
Yeah, on some yes, I agree with that. But on the other hand, I'm gonna look at that. Okay, now we're unusual in the fact that we buy 2 cases. That's an excessive amount compared to what average players. Yeah, but if you're
the unboxings are awesome.
If an average player is gonna buy 1 brick. Okay, I have 2 or 3 cards now out of 24. Where am I going to go to get these?
I love that you're complaining about the collecting when I do all the collecting.
I'm not talking about
that. You don't know the pains. You don't know the thing. You should have seen some of the things I did to get ID cards from Nick Fury. Amber is missing a stick of lipstick. She thinks the kids got it. Daddy needed a shield level 7.
No.
Her fuzzy handcuffs went missing. Oh, the kids took it. No. We needed a black.
I finally broke down.
Why would I think your kids took fuzzy handcuffs?
I was just trying to be.
I finally broke down and bought a Nick Fury.
What's that?
I finally broke down and bought a Nick Fury on eBay. Yeah, I've been
pulled him because the first I think the first tournament that got the first Rock that got held right after Nick Fury was legal in the Rock, Nick Fury won and Nick Fury was in the top 8, and then Nick Fury hasn't left the top 8 for a little while, though he hasn't always won. He's been there, and he's akin to Banshee, but better than Banshee right now, or in the fact that just Nick Fury is so potent in what he does, and I look at it and I say, what can actually be done to this character? Like, people scream, watch list him, ban him, or something like that. Like, I think to myself, how do you watch list him? And it's very difficult to come up with what would be a reasonable, uncompletely nerf balling him, adjustment to him. Because even if you do something to his take of power away, at 120 points, he's still a really good character with his improved targeting and his traded shape change. Like, he's a very playable character even without that power. And if you turn that power into just probability control, wow! Right? So, honestly, I look at him and I say he's the hardest character to nerf. I don't blame you for getting one. Because it happened to me when not Brother Voodoo, because I pulled a Brother Voodoo, and I was happy to pull a Brother Voodoo because magic poopy poop.
Sure.
I think it was Ghost Rider. I ended up paying like $30 to get a Ghost Rider because one day there was going to be a tournament that people were hyper competitive, and I needed to be ready with my own Ghost Rider because it was either Ghost Rider or a team base, and from the get-go I've hated team bases. So sometimes you get into that meta game and you got to have the thing. And in my case, in some cases, you can't always beat them, but it's okay to join them, or it's okay to have that thing. And I haven't. Last time I played a Nick Fury, I only went 1 and 2 in Swiss rounds with him, so he's not a guaranteed win. But at the same time, in the 3 rounds, I played against 2 Nick Furies. So it's a catch-22 on that one. I lost the 50-50 on those. Although I tried to turn it 60-40 in one of the matchups, and Steve Rogers let me down. So yeah, and getting back to the ID cards,
Sorry.
Aaron was actually just reminding me there's nothing like if you look at the way the Quinjet actually functions, the Quinjet isn't equipping ID cards in any way, shape, or form. Quinjet just does things with ID cards, and it doesn't specify Marvel ID cards.
Sure.
And he just sent me a build that involved a Quinjet and a stack of ID cards, and I was like, well, Aaron's bringing Quinjet build 2.0, and Aaron gets a lot of credit for Easton Brock's winning team with the Quinjet, because Aaron, if Aaron's indication is correct, then yeah, he came up with a team and bet Easton Brock that he would win with it, and Easton went and won with it. And yeah, Aaron says ID characters, it specifies ID cards and ID characters, not Marvel ID cards or DC ID cards. So the Quinjet already is the Javelin.
Pretty much, right?
Already is able to bring in Justice League ID cards.
Now that is something to mention, is that like newer players will bring this up, and that it's like, well, is this going to be Marvel only? Is this going to be DC only? And it was something that they had implemented many, many, many years ago, is that what a lot of players don't know is that the tournament scene when this game first started was Marvel only or DC only. When you were, or indie, when you were going to a tournament, instead of being Modern Age or Silver Age or Golden Age, it was Marvel, it was DC, it was indie, and only elements from, now I say elements, but at the time it was only figures.
It was only figures.
So only figures from those properties could be played in that tournament. That was something that was taken away a few sets in.
I think just after Clobbering Time, when Impervious and the Brown powers got added into the Marvel mix. Because if you look at the first set, Infinity Challenge, nobody has a brown power. Like, there's no Perplex, no Impervious, none of that. But, you know, on the other side of it, if you look at the DC Hyper Time, there's no gray powers. Because gray powers were very much specific to Marvel, and brown powers were specific to DC for about a set or two. And then once Clobbering Time involved the Impervious and everything like that, and I think it was, what was the second DC set? I want to say it was Cosmic Justice. That's what it is. Cosmic Justice showed up. They added, I think, Cosmic Boy had TK, and then that's when everything kind of got together. But, again, right now there's no specification as to whose comic book property ID card works with what.
So when you talk about resources, you can have a Marvel Lantern team. You can have a DC Phoenix Force team. It wouldn't make sense this far down the road to suddenly be like, oh no, that's DC only, that's Marvel only. Even on, just a side note on what we were talking about now, back in the day, when we say a set or two, we're not talking like the 4 months that we get between sets now. We're talking almost an entire year before another set came out.
Yeah.
So this was years at a time that before we got these transitions. Just as for something for you guys to think about when in reference to when we say these things, when we're saying a set or two. Sorry, one of our twins woke up. Oh, both of our twins woke up. So yeah, so as much as like it's a legitimate concern as to, okay, well, is this going to work with the Marvel ID cards? Is this going to work with the DC ID cards? That it just makes sense to not separate them anyway. Little diaper babies.
Where's the Kleenex, buddy? Where's the Kleenex, son?
On the microwave.
Okay, come on, buddy. Come on. Totally derailed.
You're gonna sit on the couch? You wanna sit with mommy, or are you gonna go with daddy? Or are you gonna sit on the couch? You're on the couch. Okay. Sorry about that, guys. Suddenly children. But yeah, like I said, it wouldn't make sense now. So yes, gummy hearts. You don't need any more gummy hearts, honey. You gotta go to bed.
Say goodnight, Mama.
Babies. Mwah.
Say goodnight to everybody. Oh.
They're both sick right now, so.
Twins, eh?
Yeah, I know I keep repeating myself, but yeah, no, I think it was actually kind of smart in the fact that whether or not they knew that they were going to transition this over to both properties, they made a fact of only saying ID cards, only saying ID characters when they brought them in. Exact same wording. Even if you look at the pictures that are going around of the teleporter right now, exactly the same. The only thing that's different is that it's called the Justice League Transporter, and that special power 3 at the very end of the dial, where you bring people in instead of them being ID characters. For the round table, that is the Avengers Assemble. For the teleporter, that is the World Needs Us, which I think is kind of lame. I feel like they could have had something better in that slot, where it's like Avengers Assemble, Justice League, the world needs us, yay, let's go. I'm not good at vamping on my own.
It's not easy, is it? That's why I usually throw Jay, Tom, and Mike under the bus for me to get a drink. All right. Yeah, so you talked at length for ID cards and got way derailed as usual for Chris. So it's back to Mike.
All right. Well, then I guess if you guys aren't a fan of the Valentine's Day themes, all right. What? Nope. I'm sorry. I'm gonna fix my hair.
You can continue with the theme. We have no problem with it.
All right.
I just finally beat the need for it out of Amber.
All right, so let's just switch it up then. All right, because not only is it Valentine's Day, it is also Black History Month.
Ooh.
Yeah. So, what do you guys think of? Well, because I stayed up also late last night, and I came up with a bunch of team ideas, combinations, and what would you? All right, without having to be nailed down to one specific build total, what would be your 4 or 5 go-to characters that would complete a Black History Month characters like that?
Do I have to say it, or have I said it enough?
I don't know where he's going with this.
Really? Really, Amber?
I really don't know where he's
Black
going.
History Month? What character would I start with?
Oh, okay.
You can go first, because mine is obvious.
That took me a little too long.
But before we go, Chris, thanks for joining us. You do have a tournament at 10 a.m. We don't want to keep you too late. So don't feel bad about having to duck out. That's okay.
We run these late.
I'm a lightweight.
We go long on these, so don't feel bad.
Bye, Chris. Nice to meet you.
Hey, good deal. Thanks for having me, and maybe we'll do this again soon.
The first Friday of every month.
Excellent.
Unless we want to work around Amber's schedule, and we try to get the best we can.
Good luck on your pools next week.
Thank you very much, and good luck at your tournament tomorrow.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Good night.
All right, Amber, you go first for your Black History Month team, because if you fail on that.
I do. I feel so hard. I apologize that I am so white.
Not white. Just don't recognize that one of my favorite characters just happens to be.
Okay. Well, automatically I would have to say Storm, and there's just so many really, really good iterations of her.
151 from Days of Future Past is a good start.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking that one. Yeah, she's really, really good. And then I would probably have to add in the most recent U.S. agent. I think the one that has does he have the Invaders training?
I don't think that one's Black Amber.
Is that one not? No, I'm thinking of the Patriot. I'm thinking of the wrong Thinking of the wrong other Captain America.
Mhm.
Ladies and gentlemen, Amber.
That's one. This is the one. That's what I'm
Okay,
talking about.
that's the Young Avengers Captain America.
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Yes.
Okay.
Fuck, this is not good for me to try and do.
Really, Amber?
No, I'm
You
really
started with
actually
Storm,
happy.
Amber.
I know, I started with Storm, and it's really good. And I didn't, you know what? I didn't get to use her in my sealed, so I will say Spectrum because I had her sitting on a ID card the whole tournament and went like 4-0 and didn't use her. And no, that wasn't the one I had her on. It was the one before that. So, anyways,
You
she
used
sat on.
the Spectre, didn't use the Spectre. Gotcha.
Yeah. Spectrum didn't get to use, so I want to actually use her. So we've got Storm and Spectrum so far. Well, I said Patriot, so we'll have him there. So Storm, Spectrum, Patriot, and I know it's not the version of... I probably wouldn't use the old version of Storm that works with Black Panther, but we might as well put Black Panther in there and probably use the ABX Black Panther to go with it, because that's... No. The Age of Ultron Black Panther where you can't draw lines of fire to him if he's next to blocking. Yeah.
So the Age of Ultron one. Okay.
Yeah. Storm, Black Panther, Spectrum, Patriot. Young
So-
Patriot, whatever that is.
Myself, I was a big fan of the more recent Mighty Avengers iteration. And one of the leaders happens to be one of my 4 favorite characters in the Marvel Universe. And Amber, you should be ashamed of yourself for not realizing that my first character, in all cases, is Luke Cage. I mean, he was one of my favorite parts of Jessica Jones, Amber. My brother, Luke Cage. Yeah, Luke Cage is generally my... if I was to be for, this was the situation, the Black History Month team, Luke Cage being one of my favorite comic book characters is always my starting point. Of course, I don't, as much as I would love to bring his buddy Iron Fist, that doesn't fall into the theme of the idea that we're running. And since Amber took the Age of Ultron Black Panther, that's okay, because the one I want to use happens to be the AVX Black Panther, and that's the one I would use. And that, I actually have that Captain America Luke Cage, the Thunderbolts one. I personally prefer the newer one because of his cool ability to break through walls, ignore hindering. Just I kind of scream Sweet Christmas when I do a move and attack with him. Sweet Christmas. And so it's kind of my starting point because that Black Panther actually really works well with the close combat team because if I remember correctly, he gets some power on top of some outwit, on top of some stealth, so he can get in there. Both of them have a wild card, which is really cool. But then you got to think, what do I wild card? Well, of course, Storm is generally an X-Man, so Storm, while a very good choice, Amber went and took her from me. But that doesn't stop me from using the 10th anniversary 59-point Storm, who fared me very well in my 10th anniversary gimmick team that I brought to the first Canadian Nationals, because it's one of my teams, again, that started as a joke, as I often tell the story. Everything I bring to a major tournament, or I plan on bringing to a major tournament, I end up losing all faith in. And then a week before every one of these tournaments, I come up with some monstrosity of a gag that there's no way anybody planned for and actually does something that can compete. And in this case, the first Canadian Nationals I brought the 63-point Batman from 10th anniversary, the Storm from 10th anniversary, the Captain America from 10th anniversary, all of the promotionable versions, because the Book of Skulls gave them +2 attack. And +2 attack with a move and attack nonetheless, which all of these characters lack. So the idea was, well, now I'm definitely going to hit. I'm definitely going to get promotion tokens. Time to promote. And honestly, while in the entirety of the tournament, I promoted about 5 times. And every single time the Batman promoted, it was perfect timing because he had taken damage and needed that steel energy you get from the Black Lantern version of him. The Storm always did it on peak click because she was like 8 range with 12 attack and range combat expert and was just baffling people. Anyway, so yes, that Storm specifically, if I was to go back to kind of drag it into the Golden Age, that would be a figure that kind of stands out to me as a strong character for a Black History Month February themed character. Who else? Lucius Fox is a great support character for a team like this. And that's kind of where my mindset goes right now. I'm sure if I had my collection in front of me, I actually built a team like this a little while ago.
You did a Mighty Avengers one.
Well, it's kind of Mighty Avengers, but I also built I built a team where every character was an African American of some sort, or dark or from Africa, whatever the character built. Because I think I actually had a couple characters that were DC. Black Lightning was one of the characters as well. The name's a little on the nose, kind of like Black Panther, but yeah. These are all great characters, and all characters I would consider on a team if I was kind of going beyond the other February holiday being Valentine's Day, and if I was to choose Black History Month. But of course, always my starting point in this case is definitely Luke Cage, because he's one of my favorite comic book characters. Just next to the Hulk. The Hulk being like my first favorite comic book character. The Luke Cage was the first comic book collection I had almost in entirety, and him and Iron Fist kind of are close here in the second place market next to the Hulk. So yeah, that would be kind of where I'd focus my build.
Yeah, and can we just give a brief shout out to some other honorable mentions?
Cyborg, yeah.
Cyborg.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
This is why I'm horrible on the spot, because I would make an amazing team.
Misty Knight.
Yeah.
Looking at my collection.
Yeah, Misty Knight. Misty Knight, I kind of have a sore spot because she took over Heroes for Hire, but wasn't Luke Cage.
Yeah, there's Miss Vixen there.
Vixen? Actually, it was funny because when we started talking about ID cards, I showed off the fact that yay, I got Vixen's ID card in my pre-release that I got to play in, and my second pack that I got a chance to buy, I got a Stargirl ID card.
I'm very ashamed of myself, and I blame the fact that I've had a lot of alcohol tonight.
She's had next to none, but she's small, so give her that.
Yeah, and then of course there's Steel. This one's from the Fast Forces.
You're the DC girl.
Yeah. Oh, and lastly is the Falcon. It has the Quake and stuff like that, and I understand it. So.
Yeah.
Okay, so all right, thank you for indulging me with that.
Hey, no problem. I love kind of getting those off-kilter builds. They're definitely they're fun, and I don't mind the occasional limitation. You know what, Amber? Not everybody has their second favorite character. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, that new Luke Cage, that new Power Man Iron Fist series should be out soon.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to start buying an individual comic book again.
Mm-hmm.
I've been buying nothing but trade paperbacks for a while. The existence of the Power Man Iron Fist comic book has me intrigued.
Now that I have a job, I'm very tempted to actually just keep going with all different Wolverine, but I got issue 1, and I think they're up to issue 5 now. Back issues cost money.
That's money. I don't want to spend money. If it's not printed on the cover of the comic book, I don't want to spend it. All right, so Matt's up next.
I'm okay. I'm getting a little.
We're sending Mike to bed, and we're having to fall asleep here.
All right, Mike. Did you have anything else you want to?
Yeah, I guess we can add in one quick last question here on my list. Get them, cross them off as we go down the list. The Sandman from Avengers Assembled. Have you heard any feedback as to whether or not he'll work with the Sinister Syndicate prize pack? Will he work well with it? Because I think he's still Sinister Syndicate keyworded it.
Honestly, I looked at him briefly, but he's unfortunately one of those characters I like to refer to gets boxed, and by that I mean, hey, he's kind of neat. One day I might use him. One day.
Wasn't King Sandhopper, and then once Sandhopper wasn't a thing, nobody's looked at him again?
I think that's part of it. I'm just kind of pulling up HCRLs right now on my tablet to remind me, but you can go ahead and...
Also, for others that weren't aware at the situation, Sandhopper was the nickname of a team build that basically forced you into a roll-off, where it would you would use Grasshopper and Sandman and remove both of them from the map, and as a part of the rules, once one team no longer has any characters on the map, the game ends, and if there's no victory points, you go to a roll-off. So it would be a turn 1 or 2 roll-off, and it was a strategy or a thought that someone had decided they were just going to go into Worlds and be like, okay, well, I'm going to see how many roll-offs I can win, and F this game, I don't care, you guys let this happen. So in light of that, going into Worlds, they actually errated the rulebook itself as one of the conditions, basically, if characters were moved from the map. I can't remember the exact wording on it, but basically it shut down Sandhopper from being a thing, and that wouldn't cause the game to end.
Yeah. Now, yes, the Sandman, I kind of... Yes, Aaron, I know you told me about Sandhopper first. Okay, I get it. Aaron, you are an innovator. You know what? I'm going to talk to you because I have an article I'm writing for the Majestic site about solo adventures and solo builders. You lonely, lonely, beautiful man, you. There you go. I got a tonguey face smiley. Anyway, so yeah, the Sandman does have the Sinister Syndicate team ability, but not team ability, but keyword. So he would theme with the Doc Ock. Unfortunately, he has the Avengers team ability and not the good Avengers team ability, the initiative ability. This is the Avengers one that your movement doesn't count.
Sorry, sidebar. We got an update to KC. Can we please update the other team abilities that don't work?
Before you mention that, let's get Unjustice League before anything else. Mm-hmm. Because I can abuse that Avengers. Don't get me started on how able I am to abuse that Avengers team ability. But unfortunately, it would be ideal if you could get one of these Sinister Syndicate. As far as synergy with the Doc Ock or the other prize kit figures, I'd have to take a little bit more of a look at him. He's unique. I don't know why I mentioned he was unique. The unique has absolutely nothing to do with anything. He's got poison, he's got perplex. So I mean, a character with perplex adds to anything, but he's 140 points of your team, and it's 140 points of is it worth it? Barrier is good. If you want to protect your Doc Ock, that's a good. Barrier is always a good source of protection, but never forget as well that even though he brings barrier, he brings it at a cost of 140 points to a Sinister Syndicate team, where there's probably better characters with that particular keyword to use. Even the Speed Demon that Chris had mentioned earlier just kind of adds to a team better than Sandman does, per se. I really wish the Amazing Spider-Man Shocker was still modern age legal.
He was good.
I think he's actually in my Golden Age box. I do keep a select number of figures that I thought were really, really key to a Golden Age build. And Alyosha Craven is in that box, yes.
Of course.
One of my favorite characters as far as HeroClix is concerned, until Question showed up. But, yeah, as a whole, the Sandman, 140 points is a hefty investment for a character that I really wish did significantly more than what he does. So, cool character, cool gimmick. As long as you're playing above 300, you're pretty safe to play him. He's definitely a fun character. Phasing, avoid water, because read that card, that's annoying. He can pop a barrier and run away and not be a victim of losing the barrier, and he could protect that Doc Ock. As far as a competitive game, you'd be a little bit harder pressed to force that situation.
Okay.
You agree?
I fell asleep.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. All right. I love she's just
okay.
I love you so much. July. So Mike, I know you were the only one with questions left. Do you have any more to go on, or?
Well, yeah, I had one more in case of reserved, like at, but I guess we don't. If you're getting tired, you want to close it up, like at, it's okay.
And open. Go. Question. Ask your question.
Shut up.
All right.
Let me ask the question.
All right. Just for fun, I was thinking about when we were talking about at the beginning of the show with the World's Finest. How much? Because I know we want to stay positive tonight. You know, we're full of love and we want to be positive. Just like you know how everybody complains about how many Supermen and Batmen that that are out there, and some characters don't even have a Clix form yet. How much will this World's Finest people, the set will kind of upset people that have too many Supermen in them. I'm sorry, that was very awkward.
It's you know what?
We understand what you're asking.
I get the question, and let's look at it this way. For all the things that I say that 8 slots are taken up by Superman and Batman, I'm going to pull the Superman out of our pre-release bin of things, and the Batman, let's say. And I should probably pull the White Lanterns out because those are mine. Captain Boomerang doesn't belong in here. This is just kind of a collection of all this stuff I've recently acquired and haven't sorted yet. And out of the number of packs that we've got, we're still looking at a stat that those are not part of it. This is still what we're looking at. And that's from 3 or 4 packs of stuff that we've acquired. And here's the thing. There's one of each Superman and Batman in each rarity, but there's enough slots taken up by some of the most obscure characters ever made.
Crazy Quilt.
Crazy Quilt got made. Condiment King got made.
Read Condiment King's card.
Condiment King's card. You want me to read Condiment? Are you asking me to read Condiment King's card?
No, I'm saying when you guys if you ever come across a Condiment King, read his card.
He was my best character in Sealed.
Like, first of all, his trait. Why is it? What is it? Why are you all laughing so hard? Good luck playing Ketchup is his running shot. His special movement power is slippery ketchup mustard sprays. His incapacitates. Can you cut the mustard when facing me? I'm such a father. She's throwing up in her mouth at the puns. His poison, hot sauce guns. His exploit weakness. I relish discovering your weakness. Maybe it's relish. His close combat expert is called close condiment expert. You got things, you got the metal men, lead, tin, copper, so on and so forth. Mr. Nobody. Here's an unclicked character for you, Mr. Nobody. The Wizard. Do we have an alloy? We had an alloy in the DC Giant set. We've got a ton of generics we've never seen. We've got a good girl, Ms. Mary Marvel, versus the original black-suited Mary Marvel. Okay, we got Etrigan again, and it's very recent to me. There's a lot of generics here. Crazy Quilt, of all things.
Larry on the Witch Boy with the tactical tickle.
For every Batman and Superman in this set, there's about 7 or 8 WTF characters. Mr. Malin Brand is in this set, and that is not a complaint for me. I feel to a certain degree that this set is Crisis/Justice League 2.0. Both those sets were full of really obscure, wacky characters, and there's nothing wrong with that. And a lot of them, again, previously on Clix, some of them re-clicked from those sets specifically. The Joker, Emperor Joker, though the original Emperor Joker was actually, I think, called Emperor Joker. It had a whole crown and royal outfit. This one kind of looks the same as Zatara. Zatara's a re-clicks, but when was the last time we had him? He was still like a pre-carded era Zatara. Was the last time we had that character. Even when I brought up Mary Marvel, and do we have a carded era Mary Marvel? I don't think so.
We don't have actually a modern age Poison Ivy, and now we have 3.
Yeah, we just in some of these cases, I'm okay with this. And there's a lot of really weird stuff, but there's also a ton of generic things too. Overall, the way I see the set is, when it's called Batman and Superman, or sorry, originally called Batman and Superman, now it's called World's Finest, which is still a comic book based around Batman and Superman. You expect a lot of that character. Superman, Wonder Woman, I think in all the rarity slots was short one.
Should have had more Wonder Woman.
Was missing one because there was one in each rarity except for the super rare.
Yeah.
There was no super rare, but there was a chase. And I had no complaints about that. And there was a few more Superman that probably didn't need to be made, like Superman 2. But personally, I'm a fan of red and blue, so I'm okay. I was okay with that. Anyway, where I'm going with this is another thing I think I discussed at great length when people bring up this complaint is that we do have to remember WizKids had a long-running contract with Marvel and DC to make a licensed game product, which is one of quite possibly the most impossible contracts to keep a hold of. Look to the past of the Versus System card game, the Overpower card games. Any of these old classic Marvel DC tokened collectible games, and look at the lasting power. It wasn't particularly long. No. HeroClix has had a 13-year relationship with both of these comic book properties, though possibly improved by neck and now. They do have to make certain concessions to the property owner, and in some cases, with a new Superman versus Batman movie coming out, Warner Brothers being the owner of DC, I can almost guarantee that the existence of that movie has in some way affected what they've suggested, probably should do, guys, if you want to make us some money, been suggested by Warner Brothers. Whereas with the idea of the OP kit set of Civil War coming out, and we also have a movie of Civil War. Last year we got a movie of Age of Ultron and an Age of Ultron OP event. I don't think we're talking too far of a stretch to kind of come to the conclusion that the property owners are kind of calling the shots to a big enough degree, and WizKids is doing the best job of keeping the property owners happy. And if that concession is required to keep the game going, the game is great. I'll accept the fact that the game makers have to make concessions to the property owners.
Now on another side of character collectors, which is like I am a character collector, Jason is a collector.
I'm a player collector.
There are people that collect only certain characters. For someone that is a Superman collector or a Batman collector, this is actually a good set because while you're getting 5-6 new Batman and Superman, a lot of them are in the obtainable slots. You have a common, an uncommon, a rare, and even a obtainable super rare in each of those. The only ones where it's a little bit harder is that you've got the chase for each of those. Whereas, like, for me, my character collector is Wolverine, where we used to see Wolverine like crazy. The last few times we saw Wolverine, he was a con exclusive, a con in your store exclusive, this exclusive.
Or the name of his set.
But even then, there were 2, 3 Wolverines in
Gravity Feed, 001.
Fast Forces? Was there a Fast Forces?
There wasn't a Fast Forces for Wolverine and the X-Men. Yeah. There's 2 Wolverines in Wolverine and the X-Men.
In Wolverine and the X-Men. So I mean, when it comes down to it, when it comes down to a collector's aspect of this, is yes, we're seeing these characters again, like Jason said, they're doing their best to keep these properties active, and if that means that putting certain characters' names in it or certain characters in it, like Superman and the Legion of Superheroes,
there are 2 Superman characters.
Kind of Superman.
One was the Dark Side, whatever those things were. It was a chase that was actually an Apocalypse branded. Something of the Darkness. What's it called?
Servant of the Great Darkness.
Servant of the Great Darkness, Superman, and Superboy. Yeah. Those are the only Supermen in Superman and the Legion of Superheroes. There's a certain level of branding I think DC is forcing, even Warner Brothers is forcing upon WizKids for that. I think we're good on that, yeah?
Yeah, so I mean, when it comes down to it, it's not, I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. I'm actually excited that we have our like 500th copy of Superman because we finally have a Superman that I can play. He's under 100 points. This is unheard of. This is so unheard of.
Well, we discussed this in the last set too. You had Superman Blue.
Yes, it's true. But that was Superman Blue. That wasn't Superman.
No.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, it even says on the card, wait, that's not Superman.
I see what you did there. All right. So we're getting towards the end here. Mike, anything else you want to add on, or are you good now?
No, yeah, that's it. No.
Okay.
Everything
Matt,
throws
anything
up.
else at the end here, or?
No, thank you guys. Keep up the good work, and thanks for fighting the good fight there this week for us.
Well, but before we kind of wrap up, we do want to say we did do a video. We did have our voices out there. We also vocalized other people's voices, and everybody's voice was a part of this. So everybody who just made sure that they were part of the petition, part of making the noise about this, WizKids heard you, and we have to appreciate that they listened. So we appreciate both the people with their voices and WizKids in this particular matter in making sure that we could come to a level of a compromise that more than enough people could appreciate. Mike is showing off the patron tokens that you can get at the $10 or more per month mark. We are sending out the November and December ones shortly. And then we are actually putting in our order for the January ones this weekend. I actually have to pay the guys over at Big Bully Games who have been wonderful enough to provide us with these tokens. Mike, the only guy to own a July token nonetheless.
Yeah.
Mike is 100% of the owners of the Married with Clix July patron tokens.
Boy, I wonder how much this is worth now.
You know what? I would love to see somebody spend 10 grand on that. I would appreciate that. That adds so much worth to the channel. That makes me go, really? That's it? I also want to point out, in all the wackiness that happened in the past 24 hours, we bumped over 1,400 subscribers on YouTube. It kind of came out of nowhere because we were so busy kind of pushing forward with the movement to discuss or to make sure WizKids knew all of our thoughts. And we didn't get a chance to say thank you everybody who's been added as a subscriber. We do appreciate all the traffic that we get because all of that, along with our patrons, does help support the channel. Patrons are just a more direct source and do get perks such as action tokens, joining us on the Patron Hangout, and talking sessions with myself. Mike, I believe we actually have another hour and a half to talk about this month soon.
Yeah, we do.
And Mike, you owe us 3 teams, sir.
Yep, yes I do. I better get my button gear with that.
You know what? You get to build a game ahead for us. Pick her team, pick my team. You get to make it all up for us, and then pick another team for one of us. How's that sound?
Yeah, that sounds fair. Well, that's great to catch up.
And yes, one of the patron levels is you get to build teams for an episode for us. We do have quite a few perks. Check us out at patreon.com/marriedwithclix. But, of course, we do want to thank all of our patrons, though not all of them choose to join us on the show. It was nice to see Chris join us live. As always, wonderful to have Mike and Matt, who are our most regular contributors to this particular show that we have once a month. And check it out. See if you're interested in joining us particularly, or watch the rest of our channels. We do have other ways to support us outside of just watching us on the channel. We appreciate any and all support that we do receive. But on that note, I do want to say good night to everybody. Thank you guys for joining us who did join us to watch. Thank you guys, thank you patrons, for joining us and giving us topics to discuss. And we're really looking forward to even more awesome news from the world of HeroClix as 24 hours of Grimdark got changed real quick around 4 o'clock today. Good night, everybody, and see you guys next month in the Patreon Hangout.
Good night.